Hello, Bruce.
Hi, Simon.
How are you on this fine day?
I'm fine. I expect to be interrupted at any minute, however.
Why is that then?
Well, the time that we record this. Anyway, we'll get into that in a minute. So, where are we? What are we doing? What's going on? Who am I?
All of the above. According to my records, you are Bruce Fielding, voiceover artist extraordinaire.
Let me just check my driving licence. Yes, you're quite right.
Excellent. And I'm Simon Wells, equally voiceover artist extraordinaire.
Yes. And we're both sort of very nerdy. We do nerdy things like go to pub quizzes and say to each other, "Oh, I'll tell you what I learned today."
Yes.
Things like that.
We read a lot of useless facts.
We do. Or hear, or watch.
Yes. Yeah.
However they come to us, they stick in our brain longer than the useful stuff.
And then once a week, we come here and we offload the excess facts that are clouding our minds onto all of you lovely unsuspecting folk.
Yeah, thank you very much for your service.
Yes. It's very cathartic.
Yes, we like it. So, what's the subject this week, Simon?
The subject this week, Bruce, is the Postal Service.
So, we've done one on beer, which
Yep.
you like. We've done one on watches, which I like.
Yep.
We've done one on kites, which I like. So, I think people might know that there's a connection between you and the Postal Service.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned this a couple of times previously in passing. In a totally former career, I spent 17 and a bit years as a postman.
Right.
Before making the obvious and natural segue into voiceover artistry. Yes, I was a postie, and I worked in the Staines area.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Elements of it were really good. I've never been fitter than I was back then. I was far exceeding my recommended number of steps each day.
Yes.
Out and about on your own, listening to podcasts and music on your headphones, meeting people, having chats and cups of tea with customers. Yeah. Very, very nice.
With your black and white cat.
Interestingly, at the time, I didn't own a black and white cat. I had a ginger and white cat, but that doesn't fit the Postman Pat theme tune quite so well. But never mind. There were elements of it I didn't like. Going out in stormy weather when you've got a cold.
Yes.
So this episode is going to be... I'm really trying to bring out interesting facts and not just give a sort of a soliloquy of my 17 years in Royal Mail. Yes, exactly.
I remember the day when I found a dog attached to my leg.
Yes, I did receive multiple dog bites.
Oh, lovely.
It is actually a thing. It sort of sounds like an absolute cliche, but dogs have been known to not like posties, which I can kind of understand. You know, we enter their territory uninvited, we crunch along their gravel drive, we make a loud noise at the door, and then we leave. Yeah. And it does get some of them a little bit annoyed. And I received no fewer than 5 dog bites whilst I was a postman. My postman loves my dog. My dog loves my postman. Whenever the doorbell rings for the postman, which is why I may be interrupting this briefly, he goes nuts, and then he runs and says hello to the postman. And the new one, Dave, loves my dog. But the previous one, Carl, he used to even bring treats for my dog. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So when did the Postal Service start? I mean, what is post? Why do we call it post?
Right. Okay, well, that's a good place to start. Okay, so post comes from the Old French post, which comes from the Old Latin postis, which comes from the even older Latin ponere, which means to place or position or station something in place. Mm-hmm. Posting something.
Right. Oh, I see, yes. Because you can post signs, can't you?
Yeah, so you place a sign, you position a sign. It all comes back to that postis.
Yeah.
And essentially it comes from the time, sort of the earliest methods of sending communications to other people was to hand a letter to a person on a horse. And if they were travelling long distance, they couldn't do the whole journey with just one person and one horse because it would take too long and they'd both get exhausted. Yes. So they had various places where they would stop and hand that letter to the next rider with a horse, and then the next, and then the next. Each of those places were posting stations.
Okay.
And so just through over-frequent use, I'm sending a letter through the post service.
Yes.
That eventually became post. But yeah, you had post horses, you had post boys or postillions. They were hired by a postmaster. They were stationed.
Postillions.
Postillions, yeah.
I thought that was someone's bottom.
That's posterior.
No, because there was when I was young, there was one of those terrible translation, very small vocabularies, and they'd have like expressions in the back of them.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And it would be, the lightning has struck my postillion.
Oh, how interesting.
Which I always thought was an arse, but it may just
well,
be...
it may be euphemistic, mustn't it? You know, the lightning has actually struck my post boy, but because it sounds a bit like posterior, it could be used in that place.
Yes.
Interesting. And they worked out of a post house or a post office.
Right.
And so that entered the vocabulary. Also interchangeable with mail, which has always bugged me.
What's the difference between post and mail? I guess, no, I don't know. Tell me.
Okay, so technical. So mail comes from an old French word for bag or satchel, and then eventually that became the bag that the post people would carry the letters in, and therefore over the years, over the centuries, mail the bag became mail the contents of the bag, which became the letters, the mail. Interestingly, in America, the Postal Service carry mail. In the UK, Royal Mail carry the post. No one really knows why. One sounds a bit more American than the other, but there is no technical difference. In this country, we used to use the word mail more in terms of sending letters and parcels overseas.
Yes.
And we used to use post to the horses thing that I just mentioned.
But it's been around for a while. I mean, it's been around since sort of Egyptian times, where people were sending post.
Oh, really?
Well, post used to be for royalty and the very rich and the very posh people. Sort of globally, it was something that was only done by the wealthy.
Yeah. And I suppose also by the people who had something to say.
Yes.
You know, the common folk couldn't afford to hire someone to take the letter, but equally they didn't know anyone halfway across the world who they would need to send a message to, I suppose.
I guess that's true, yeah. You don't need only your local people.
Yeah.
But then sort of like the postal service I guess the UK was probably the first postal service. There was just like an official government.
Yeah, the first official thing. It has existed everywhere at one point or another because people need to communicate.
Yeah.
In this country, I think just because of my personal experience, I'm going to be mainly talking about the UK mail service.
Okay.
In 1516, they set up the Master of the Posts, who was in charge of that whole horse rider system that I just mentioned.
Yes.
So Royal Mail claimed that it was 500 years old in 2016.
Yes.
But as you said, that was just for private use.
Yes.
Charles I opened that system up to the public. Again, only the wealthy public, but 1635 it became a public thing.
Yeah.
Wasn't actually named Royal Mail until 1784.
No.
So it's existed for ages, but it's changed, but it's always been there.
Yeah. I remember when I was young, there used to be 3 deliveries a day back in the 50s. And I think before that there were even more. Back in the 1800s, they were doing an hourly delivery between 7:30 in the morning and 7:30 at night.
Really?
There would be 12 deliveries a day.
I suppose when the letters were fewer and further between, as soon as one arrived, you jolly well went out and delivered it, didn't it? So rather than, these days they all come in bulk, it would actually be a sort of a moment, wouldn't it? Oh, a letter's arrived, let's go and deliver it quick.
Well, you used to have to pay for it when it arrived.
Yes.
It was paid for by the receiver rather than by the sender.
That's right, yes.
So when did that all change?
So that all changed, well, it depends what you specifically refer to. So there was the system called the London Penny Post.
Yes.
Came around in 1680.
Yeah.
And essentially you could send any item, letter or parcel, up to £1 in weight and up to £10 in value within the city of London.
That's quite a lot of money.
Yes, it was quite that back then. Yeah, absolutely. For 1 penny. And
was that the penny black?
No, so this was 1680. That was the London Penny Post. So that was the service by which you could send things for 1 penny.
Right.
It wasn't until the 1800s that the idea of a stamp came up, and that was the penny black stamp.
Oh, okay.
So again, stamps. Why they're called stamps. When you used to send a letter or a parcel through a posting house or a post office, they used to take an ink stamp and stamp the parcel to say this has been paid for. And then someone came up with the idea of, well, why don't we just put a little bit of paper on the letter or the parcel, and it will do the same job, and it can be mass produced.
Yes.
So those things were stamps. And that came about in 1840. There was a gentleman called Rowland Hill who created the post office reform between 1837 and much, much later. He just went around unifying and making this scattered service that ran very differently in different areas.
Yes.
Sort of making it into one unified
national
thing.
service.
National service, exactly.
So the penny black only lasted 4 months.
Oh, really?
And that's why it's rare, is because they didn't produce very many of them.
Oh, I see.
And the reason why they didn't produce very many of them is you talked about like you can cancel a stamp when you buy a stamp, so that you can't reuse it.
Yes.
They frank it,
and
they put a cancellation mark on the stamp. What colour was the ink that they used to cancel the penny blacks, do you reckon?
Oh, don't tell me it was black.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for goodness sake.
So basically the reason why they stopped making the penny black after 4 months was they realised that you couldn't see whether they were cancelled or not.
That's brilliant.
So they changed it to a penny red.
Yes, they did. That's right.
So that's why they changed it to a penny red.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you can see a jolly good stamp collection in the British Library in London. They have a number of sheets of penny blacks and reds on display there. Beautiful looking things.
People have done fun stuff with stamps, though, haven't they? There are some very interesting stamps. I mean, I guess that's what Factoraly is all about. It gets you everywhere. But it'll get you to Bhutan, for example.
Right.
In back in the day, Bhutan decided that they were going to make mini record stamps.
Okay.
So there's a chap called Bert Todd who was trying to raise money. I mean, generally, countries often raise money by producing special stamps.
Yes, okay.
So that stamp collectors all over the world have to buy the stamp to keep their collections going.
Yeah.
So Bert Todd, who was a bit of an adventurer, went to Bhutan. I'll put a link. We have show notes. If you go to Factoraly.com.
Factoraly.com.
That's the one. You'll find Bert Todd's story of the Bhutan mini record stamps. Basically, he produced these stamps that you could actually play on a record player.
No way.
And they played all sorts. They played like the Bhutan national anthem. There were some. Like different denominations played different things.
That's incredible.
So there was one with Bert sort of telling the story of the stamps and all sorts. So yeah, the Bhutan stamps were really quite something. Tonga had a stamp in the shape of a banana.
Okay.
Because one of Tonga's big exports is the banana.
Right.
But then they decided, well, it went down so well. They raised a lot of money by their banana-shaped stamp. They thought, okay, let's make one in the shape of a heart, and then one in the shape of a bird, and then a whole collection in the shapes of fruit.
Brilliant. And even in this country as well, we get commemorative stamps, don't we, for particular events.
So many.
We get movie stamps. I remember a Doctor Who collection came out. All these sorts of things. The philatelists have no shortage of novelty stamps.
Then you get, in Belgium in 2013, they thought we need some more money. So how can we make more money through stamps? And somebody said, what's Belgium famous for? Tintin. Poirot. I know, chocolate.
Oh, okay.
So what we'll do is we'll make chocolate tasting and smelling stamps.
No.
Not stamps out of chocolate.
Thank goodness.
But they'll be paper stamps. But we'll make the lacquer that we cover the stamp with smell like chocolate because it'll have chocolate in it.
That's brilliant.
So they produced a whole load of chocolate stamps, which when you licked them, they tasted of chocolate, and when you smelled them, they smelled of chocolate, and they looked like chocolate. They were specially designed.
That's wonderful. I love that.
They're amazing.
Because stamps do have a fairly unique taste, don't they? When you used to lick
that
them,
glue.
They're sort of self-adhesive these days, aren't they? But
yes,
when you used to have to lick a stamp, crikey! Every Christmas, I remember licking all of these stamps to go on the Christmas cards.
At one point, the U.S. Postal Service produced a calorie guide for stamps and envelopes.
Really?
To tell you how many calories there were when you licked a stamp or when you licked an envelope. I've tried to find this out. I've heard this and I've tried to track it down, but it may be apocryphal.
Right. We don't care. Apocrypha is truth here.
Yes, always.
There are so many different areas of this that we could cover. It's a fascinating network. You know, the Postal Service is sort of one of the biggest infrastructural systems going. It connects so many things together. It's just absurdly large. But I've just sort of picked out a couple of things that sort of stick out, one of which is post boxes.
Oh, yes.
So in my time at Royal Mail, I used to do both deliveries and collections. So I went around in a van with a big bunch of keys, emptying all the post boxes in a particular area and scooping the letters out of them to go on their journey.
Yeah.
So I did a little look around post boxes. There are about 115,000 post boxes in the UK of varying sizes and shapes and types, you know, from the old cast iron pillar box with the little cap to protect it against rain to the rectangular things embedded in a wall.
Yes.
And they're quite interesting in as much that every single box has its own unique key.
Oh.
For security reasons, if they all had the same key,
yes,
it would be very easy to suddenly gain access to every single post box
in
the country.
I never thought of that.
So they all have their own unique key. And if you look at a post box, it has a little code in the corner of the time plate, which says the first part of the postcode, followed by 3 digits.
Yeah.
So I used to work in the Staines area, TW18. So TW18 501 is a particular box.
Yeah.
And you would have a bunch of keys. Every single key would have a fob on it with the number of that box. So you walked around with this big sort of jangly jailer's keys type bunch of keys, positioned on a hoop in the order that you were collecting in, so that you got to the next box, you got that key, you opened the box, etc.
Wow.
So yeah, we had a lot of keys hanging on a lot of hooks in the office. And yes, there are apparently around 115,000 post boxes, each with their own unique key.
All painted red.
All painted red. Now, well, not all, but yeah.
So which ones aren't painted red?
Right. So they don't really exist anymore, but you used to get airmail post boxes where you would specifically drop airmail letters. They were blue, light blue. You had dark blue ones that were armed forces specific post boxes.
Yeah.
You had ones that were painted gold during the Olympics.
Yes, I remember those.
Any town that a UK gold medal winner came from, their hometown, they could have the post boxes painted gold.
Oh, wow. During the war, they painted them camouflage.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Because red's very easy to spot from the air. So
now, this is interesting. Apparently, when post boxes first came about, so we didn't invent them. They were actually being used in Paris in the late 1600s, which is way earlier than I would ever have thought.
Yeah.
In the 1850s, an English fellow called Anthony Trollope, who
the writer.
Yes. So he had a previous career as the clerk of works working for the post office.
Oh, right.
And he was on holiday in France and he saw all of these post boxes and he brought the idea back to the UK. At first, they just did a trial run. They had 4 post boxes on the island of Jersey.
Okay.
And they worked quite well.
Yeah.
They were red right from the start. Then they trialled a few on Guernsey. They worked quite well. Then they came to the mainland and started spreading. Somewhere around the late 1800s, they decided to make them green because they felt that the red ones were just too ostentatious. They sort of stuck out too much.
Yeah.
So for about 10 years, all of the post boxes in the country were green. And then people started complaining because they were so unobtrusive that they couldn't actually find
them.
the nearest post box. So they went back to red and they've been red ever since.
I seem to remember, and I haven't researched this, but I think it's true, that I seem to remember that the church objected to the post, and especially to post boxes.
Right.
On the basis that it was immoral.
Okay.
And the morality bit came in because young single women, or even young married women, could get in contact with men surreptitiously through writing them letters and then popping the letter into a post box.
Oh, dear.
And because before you would have to come to the house and talk to someone.
Yes, of course.
And so you would see people together.
Yeah.
But what the post did is it separated people away from each other so that you could actually conduct an affair through the post.
Interesting.
And it was you could get up to all sorts of nefarious stuff postally.
How interesting. I feel slightly out of touch with Royal Mail these days, but I read that earlier this year they created a handful of solar-powered post boxes.
I've seen them, yeah.
Have you actually seen them in the flesh?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
So the idea here is that because so many people are either sending parcels or returning parcels, more to the point these days, instead of going to a post office or your local convenience store parcel shop, you can go to one of these solar-powered post boxes, scan a barcode on the side of the box. It then electronically opens a hatch that you can put your parcel into for the postie to take away later on that day.
Which makes so much sense, doesn't it?
It does.
So most of these post boxes, though, are on land, right?
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah. Because there is one underwater.
Is there?
So on the island of Vanuatu.
Well pronounced.
They say it's a post office, but actually what it is effectively is a post box. So you buy a waterproof postcard, you fill it in with a waterproof pen, you go for a swim, and then you can snorkel down underneath the water to a post box which is probably about 6-7 feet below water level, and post your postcard in a post box.
For no better purpose than sheer novelty.
Yes. Again, it's the postal system making money for the government.
Right.
So
wow.
yeah. So if you find yourself in Vanuatu, go and post yourself a postcard underwater.
That means that in turn the local postie has to be a diver.
Yes, that's true. So it's opened every day. So somebody has to go down there every day and fish out all the postcards, literally, and bring them back to shore. On the other side of things, of course, you can go into space.
Yes.
So it started on the Mir space station.
Right.
The Russian government decided they wanted to raise cash. So they would take mail up to Mir, and the astronauts in Mir would frank the stamps. Like, this is to confirm that they have been franked in space, and then bring them back down and send them on.
Brilliant.
So technically there was a post office on the Mir space station.
Wow.
And it worked so well that you can still do it at the ISS.
Huh.
So you can still send post up to the ISS. I think it costs about $20,000 per letter. So it's not cheap, and it's definitely a thing that only the wealthy can do.
Wow.
But you can have your mail franked on the ISS.
That's fantastic.
There's also a floating post office.
Is there?
In Michigan.
Right.
So there's a company called J.W. Westcott, like Westcott.
I was going to say that's very similar to your pronunciation of the word waistcoat, isn't it?
Yes. So Westcott is the chap who started it about 50, 60 years ago. And there's a boat with its own zip code.
Oh, right.
Because it's in the Sound of the Great Lakes, there's a lot of boats, and people live on them or work on them. And how do they normally had to come into land, go to a post office, pick up their parcels or their mail, and then go back out to the boat. Yeah. So what this guy decided to do was to have a floating post office where he would take the mail from land out to the boats in the Great Lakes. And so that you can order Amazon stuff, and you can basically, he'll bring it to your boat.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the only floating post office in the world. What's the most expensive thing you think's ever been posted?
Oh, I don't know. I think in official terms, Royal Mail does have an upper limit over which you're not supposed to send things through the post just in case.
Yes. So there was something very, 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 very valuable sent through the post once. Mm-hmm. In South Africa, they discovered the world's biggest perfect diamond. Oh. The clarity of it all the way through was amazing. It's called the Cullinan diamond. It's actually in the Crown Jewels now.
Okay, right.
But, I mean, this thing is as big as like 2 hamburgers. It's massive.
Crikey.
Yeah, it's a huge diamond.
Wow.
And they thought, how do we get it from South Africa to the cutters in London?
Mm-hmm.
So what they did was they hired a big security force, And they made a big show of putting it in like a safe, and then they put it onto a boat, and they had like armed soldiers on the boat shipping it back from South Africa to the UK. In the meantime, somebody had stuck it in like a jiffy bag, and posted it back to the UK.
Wow.
Yeah. The American government decided in about the 1920s that people would no longer be allowed to post children.
I beg your pardon.
So people used to post children. So it's cheaper than the train. So so if you wanted to send your child off to your auntie or to spend time with a relative, you could actually put it in the post. There were several occasions where this happened. And it got to a point where the US government decided, actually, we need to stop this.
That's ridiculous.
I think they weren't actually put into parcels or anything like that. They were just basically had like a bit of a Paddington type thing going, where they had like a
they just sort of attach a postage label to the said child, and off it went.
Yes.
I can't believe that actually worked, let alone lasted for long enough for someone to say we should stop doing this.
It did, and if you go to our show notes, I'll prove it to you.
Wonderful.
There was a prisoner in 2006 who was working in a prison in America, and they make mailbags.
All right, yeah.
In prison, it's one of the things that they do. So he was on the mailbag manufacturing thing, and he actually manufactured his own mailbag with like a security pod in it, with an air supply. And what they did was, when they finished with mailbags, they chucked them all in like a container. So he put himself inside his own mailbag.
That's brilliant.
And got himself chucked into a container, and then got outside the prison, and then cut himself out of his mailbag and escaped. And he was free for about 18 months. And the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Mounties, got their man.
As always.
As always. They got him about 18 months later.
Wow, what an escape. That's pretty ingenious.
Yeah, absolutely. Escape by post, or at least by post bag. When you were working for the post office, did you ever sort of come across any official secrets?
Not as such. We had we knew of a number of celebrities who lived in the area because we regularly delivered their mail.
Yes, but there was a major post office secret in the middle of London for quite some time.
Okay.
The post office tower. I think we may have mentioned this before. I can't remember.
Right, which is now the BT Tower.
So the BT Tower used to be the post office tower.
Yeah.
And it was a official secret.
But
it didn't appear on maps.
But it's a flipping big tower.
I can see it on my morning walk. It's there.
That's weird.
But it was an official secret.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if you ever went there, but there's even a revolving restaurant. This is an official secret with a revolving restaurant on
that everyone knows
that was run by Butlins.
But sorry.
So the restaurant on the top of the post office tower was run by Butlins.
Was it really?
Yeah.
How strange. I'm annoyed that I never got to go there before it closed.
It was brilliant. The thing is that it had a central core which was static, and then the restaurant revolved around the central core.
Yeah.
And what that meant was that if you went to the loo, because all the plumbing and everything was in the static central core.
Yes.
So if you went to the loo, when you came back out of the loo, your table had moved.
Oh, I see. Oh.
So you could end up on stage with one of the acts that was performing, or you could just end up at somebody else's completely different table.
That's brilliant.
You just have to find your way back to your table,
depending on how long you'd been in there.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's great. Have you heard of the mail rail?
No, I don't think I've ever heard of a mail rail.
So, essentially, there was an underground train network.
Yes, I have heard of it.
There you go.
I have. I love this. You can go on it, right?
You can go on it now, yeah. So this is fascinating. I tell you what, one of the best things you can do if you're even vaguely interested in all of this stuff, please go and visit the Postal Museum in London, because it's phenomenal. They just have so much information. They have examples of equipment and stamps and vehicles. It's phenomenal. And part of it is the mail rail, which you can now ride on. So the mail rail was created in the early 1900s, actually, older than I would have thought. But as the streets of London were getting busier and busier, they wanted to get a way of transporting mail from a post office in the west of London to a post office in the east of London.
Yes.
What's the obvious thing to do? Underground trains. So they started building this underground network of trains in the early 1900s. They stopped during the First World War, obviously, but it was eventually opened in 1927.
Wow.
And it was a network of electric, driverless trains. They sort of resemble miniature railways,
Yes.
I guess, because they weren't designed for people. They were designed to carry mail bags. And these things ran back and forth under the streets of London all the way up until 2003.
Do they go to Mount Pleasant?
Yes.
Yes.
So Mount Pleasant was one of the stops. Paddington, there's a post office there that it used to stop at. It eventually phased out because a lot of those post offices and sorting centres dwindled away, and therefore their route wasn't quite so relevant. So it eventually stopped. But all the way up until 2003, you had driverless trains darting back and forth under the streets of London carrying mail bags, and they've converted one of them to fit passengers. So you can now go and visit one of these underground stations with a whole digital display about the history of the thing. You can get in. I'm 6'3", and it's a bit of a squeeze, but you can get in this little miniature.
Have you been?
I've been. Of course I've been.
It's on my list of things to do.
Do it. Please do it. It's so good. And it takes you through sort of like a multimedia display of the history of the Mail Rail and Royal Mail as a whole. And yeah, you can ride on this little diddy underground train between a couple of old post office underground stations.
Amazing.
Isn't that great?
That's fantastic. Thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
So, Simon, can you post any notices about what records there are to do with the post?
Yes, I'm sure you could even put records in the post. Why not?
Oh, you could?
Yes, there are lots of records in this topic.
Okay.
I've just picked my top 3 that I found most interesting.
Here we go.
You know how people like to do things that are so small it can fit on a postage stamp?
Yes.
So there's a record for the highest number of words on an actual functioning in-use postage stamp, which is 1,969. So this isn't just a microscopic thing that we've done for science. This is an actual postage stamp that's in use.
You could actually read it with like a very strong microscope.
Yeah. This was created by the United Nations. And essentially, this was the opening text to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Oh, how nice.
And it was to commemorate the anniversary of that document having been translated into multiple languages.
Yeah.
And every country that it had been translated into, they got a stamp with that opening declaration written on it in tiny, tiny writing. And the one that happened to have the highest number of words was the English version, 1,969 words. So that's a lot of words on a stamp.
That is a lot of words.
There's a record for the farthest distance travelled by a postage stamp. Have a guess?
Well, I would imagine up to the space station.
Bit further.
Wow. Okay. Go on then.
Just over 3 billion miles.
Is that on Voyager?
No, it's on the New Horizons spacecraft, which left Cape Canaveral in 2006 to go to Pluto. And it had a postage stamp on it.
In the hope that there'd be a post office on Pluto.
Who knows what the purpose was? I don't know. But yeah, that postage stamp travelled just over 3 billion miles.
Wow.
Which is quite good going.
Yeah.
And then my favourite one, I find this charming. The longest delayed delivery of a letter in Royal Mail's history.
Oh, was this one that got sort of like found down the back of some machinery?
Yeah, exactly that. So there's it didn't sort of go into the precise details of how it was recovered, but in 2008, a delivery office in Dorset found this really old letter that had somehow or other, got stuck down the back of something, as you say,
yes,
and never quite delivered. So they delivered it. They put it into a little plastic bag saying, sorry that your item is either delayed or damaged, and delivered it to a lady called Janet Barrett, who owned a guest house in Weymouth.
Uh-huh.
And she opened this thing, and this letter was originally dated 1919.
Wow.
So it was 89 years late
in
its delivery. And the letter said, Dear Percy, many thanks for the invitation. Would be delighted. See you on the 26th of December. Regards, Buffy.
Oh, wow.
So, obviously the address had a change of ownership, and
Yes.
therefore it didn't actually make it to anyone who was in any way connected to it.
Can you imagine if they sort of turned up to that Boxing Day party and thought, I wonder where Buffy is?
Yes. I guess we'll find out in the 21st century.
Yeah. How interesting.
Isn't that great? Yeah. And those are my records.
Fantastic. Well, my post has been delivered.
Yes, my facts have been returned to sender.
That was very interesting. I didn't realise the postal service could be interesting. But
Yes,
apparently it is.
It is stereotypically dull, but actually, once
Yes.
you start poking, there's a lot to it.
There is an awful lot to it. And you reminded me to go on that trip on the train.
There you go. You're welcome.
I will definitely do that. So we should remind you, actually, while you're listening to this, to leave us a review and to give us a rating. So if you think that we are nice and good at what we do, then please give us a 5-star review.
And if you happen to have some equally nerdy friends who like learning interesting, useless trivia, please point them in our direction, and they can come and join the Factoraly fraternity.
They may well tell you that we got stuff wrong. And if they do that, you can write to us at hello@factoraly.com. Or you can go to our Facebook page. Or you can, if you see us in the street, just go, Posty.
Unfortunately, we don't have a postal address that you can write to us at. But,
No, we don't.
Plenty of other methods of getting in touch. And lastly, please press the subscribe button so that every Thursday morning you'll get a lovely little notification saying that a new episode of Factoraly has arrived.
Yes. And we look forward to talking to you, even though you're not seeing us, on the next episode of the fun, fact-filled Factoraly.
Bye for now.
Au revoir.